Why Eddie Howe could not carry on. CRAIG Hope reveals the moment in Greece when Newcastle boss was all in before midsummer U-turn, Joelinton's wish to leave, World Cup medical that did not happen, and coup that shattered Saudi illusion. It was during a family holiday in Greece in the final week of May that Eddie Howe decided, after much contemplation, that he was all in on the season ahead with Newcastle United. His future in the days and weeks before was uncertain. Not because he was about to be sacked. He had been given assurances by the Saudi-led owners of their commitment to him in late April.
Tired of constantly refilling your pet's water bowl? This filtered fountain keeps water circulating and offers a generous capacity, giving cats and small dogs convenient access to flowing water. Want to get the best verified deal and see full details? Visit grabdeal.us/5 right now.
He, in turn, had searched for every reason to reaffirm his own commitment. He wanted to believe that all inside the club were aligned. He wanted to feel re-energized after the most draining 12 months of his managerial career. His relationship with those at the top has always been and remains good, but he also had to be on good terms with himself. After a 2-1 home defeat by Bournemouth in April, he felt despite a growing expectation he could go. F them, I want this job, was his resolve in the days after. But then, following the final game of the season, a lame 2-0 defeat at Fulham, he felt out. So bad was the performance, he wondered whether this really was the end. Eddie Howe has left Newcastle United after 4.5 years in charge. He guided the club from 19th in the Premier League to their first major trophy in 70 years, as well as 2 seasons in the Champions League. Howe flew to Greece hours later and knew, if he was to be fair to Newcastle, that he had to make a decision whilst there. Finally free of a season that began amid the stifling humidity of the Far East and the trauma of Alexander Isak's protracted sale, and grew ever more suffocating as the team inevitably suffered and finished 12th in the Premier League, Howe was able to clear his mind. The picture suddenly became less complicated. His desire to get the team back on track was stronger than the doubt that this could all veer off course. His focus was on recruitment and a summer rebuild. With club staff in place in Dallas to complete the players' medical, Liverpool hijacked the deal at the 11th hour. Losing their top target to replace Anthony Gordon cast an unwanted shadow over the summer in front of them. And that only lengthened when Switzerland midfielder Johan Manzambi then chose Aston Villa over the Magpies. A year on from the transfer window that will forever rank as a disaster class in football club ownership, when no one targets such as Hugo Ekitike and João Pedro, and several others rejected moves to an organization without a sporting director or chief executive, there was a fear that Newcastle's reputation and processes had not recovered to the level needed to succeed. To be fair to new executive arrivals, this felt as much a legacy issue. Bruno Guimaraes could be the next high-profile star to leave, with Arsenal ready to pounce. Newcastle have seen a host of major departures this summer, including Sandro Tonali to Tottenham for an initial £92.05 M. Anthony Gordon joined Barcelona for £70 M earlier this summer. In the background, Guimaraes was making moves to find a new club, as revealed by Daily Mail Sport the day after Howe had seen him play in Florida. To lose his captain, the team's driving force on the pitch and emotional leader off it, would have been close to unthinkable. Guimaraes will join Arsenal if they make a formal offer above the £75 million mooted by intermediaries, and his departure, we are told, is more likely than not. We can also reveal that his compatriot Joelinton told Newcastle of his wish to move to Saudi Arabia in the weeks after the season closed. Gordon had gone to Barcelona, and Sandro Tonali was in the process of moving to Tottenham. The team he cherished was being dismantled, in part out of necessity because of Premier League and UEFA spending restrictions, but also because these players had doubts as to the speed, direction, and delivery of the club's Vision 2030 project, a stated ambition to be among the best in the world. Blurred Vision 2030 feels more appropriate right now. Incoming, meanwhile, were 4 players of high potential, 3 20-year-olds and an 18-year-old, but with a low guarantee of impacting this season. Howe supported each signing and understood the need for a shift in transfer policy. But there was enough evidence from last season to realize that supporters, especially online, might not be so understanding if results suffered. For all of that, transfers are not the reason Howe has decided to stand down. He leaves on good terms with sporting director Ross Wilson, chief executive David Hopkinson, and all others. This is not a knee-jerk reaction to any one incident. The frontrunner to replace Howe is Al Ahly boss Matthias Jasel, who won the Asian Champions League twice with his current club and previously managed Red Bull Salzburg. This, you suspect, has been building for the best part of 2 years. In that time, there has been the internal coup to oust his allies Amanda Stavely and Mayedad Gadousi, the destabilizing appointment of sporting director Paul Mitchell, and delays to key off-field developments which have harmed the optics around the club. This, more than anything, is a sad tale of mismanagement at ownership level. There is the mitigation of profit and sustainability rules, but they do not limit care, engagement, and infrastructural investment. The owners won the lottery when appointing Howe as their first manager in November 2021 and have since proceeded to tear up the ticket. They left Howe to fight fire after fire until their head coach was burnt out. On the eve of returning to pre-season training on July 13, the 48-year-old told Wilson that he felt the time was right for him to take a break. It was best for the squad if a new manager arrived with fresh energy and ideas. Kieran McKenna, second right, whose Premier League relegation with Ipswich Town was confirmed at St James Park last year, was spoken about as a potential Howe replacement. The club disagreed and wanted Howe to lead the team this season. Available managers had come and gone, and within a few days, someone had to take training. Howe agreed to stay on until his replacement was found. Meanwhile, a very small number of candidates were considered, and Matthias Jasel, of Al Ahly, agreed to take charge. Kieran McKenna was spoken about, but he is taking a career break. Jasel's contract is currently with lawyers, and the 38-year-old will join the squad in La Manga in the coming days. Howe would have traveled to Spain had news not broken of his impending exit. In recent days, weeks, and months, a couple of analogies have been put to me to describe Howe's predicament. One, like a boxer who should have admitted his fight was done but kept on swinging. The other, like a man pushing back against the rock that has been trying to crush him and the club. The second of those feels most pertinent but fails to capture the stones that were falling from within. To understand why Howe has decided to stop now, we must first rewind. That is the word we have used for 2 years. The job Howe did in taking Newcastle from 19th in the Premier League, twice into the Champions League, and delivering a first domestic trophy in 70 years was always at odds with reality. The reality, rather, was that Howe, his staff, and his players were overperforming. They had the 8th highest wage bill in the Premier League last season. Recruitment, from Isak to Guimarães to Gordon and Kieran Trippier, was exceptional. The football operation was the head of the club, while the tail, the business operation, was lagging behind. No new stadium or St James Park upgrade. Sponsorship and commercial deals that were improved but still not up to speed with the head start Howe had given them. Mayedad Gadousi, left, and Amanda Stavely, right, were the glue that kept the club together. Crucially, they recognized the value of Howe and stuck to him more than anyone. When I wrote in August 2024, this is all starting to feel a bit Mike Ashley. It was met with astonishment, on Tyneside and especially beyond. This came in the months after the Machiavellian plot to get rid of Stavely and Gadousi, led by non-football senior staff who argued that the minority owners cut across too much of their own responsibilities. This was true, but it was also true that Stavely and Gadousi did a better job than those they were cutting across. They were the glue that kept the club together. Crucially, they recognized the value of Howe and stuck to him more than anyone. Mitchell arrived within weeks, and on the part of the club, it felt like an act of vandalism. With an alarming absence of humility, he told players and staff on his first day that he was elite and they should go on a journey with him. It left them feeling abandoned by the club at the parachuting in of this abrasive outsider. It then caused mayhem when he told some players they weren't wanted and they believed that instruction had come from Howe, which they later discovered it had not. The tumult led to Isak and more wanting to go. Howe, somehow, managed to keep his squad together, and he did that alone minus Stavely and Gadousi. Forget that the couple stood on the toes of others. When the Saudis listened to the plotters, they as good as blew their own feet off. For all the good PIF had done in the first 2.5 years of their ownership, this was a bad error of judgment at a pivotal moment. Howe's exit adds to a turbulent summer and preseason, with Newcastle losing 4-1 to Bristol City on Wednesday. Paul Mitchell, right, arrived as sporting director within weeks of Staveley and Godowsey's exit, and on the part of the club, it felt like an act of vandalism. The day they went marked day one in the unraveling of the illusion. This was not really a well-run super club destined for the top. It was a magic carpet given flight by Howe, its supporters, and the power of Newcastle reunited. Still, they had enough elevation to win the Carabao Cup in 2025, and even last season, there was a return to the semi-final of that competition and a Champions League last 16. Today, though, that carpet is well and truly grounded. The mirage, the magic, it has all been exposed by Howe deciding he could not go on. To repeat, he did not want to feel like this. Yes, there is the lingering impact of the pneumonia that hospitalized him in the weeks after the Carabao Cup win. He came back too soon and is still learning how best to manage his workload. But even allowing for that, he was ready for this season when he left Greece in early June and later headed to the United States with his family. Influenced by his heart, he made his mind believe that it could work. In the end, he had to be true to himself and true to the club. The truth is, he has made the right decision. The truth is, the club are infinitely worse off for that. The truth is, the reality of Newcastle United has long since been something of a lie.